all right?
I have
I love
fingernail
you.
polish on.
You have fingernail polish on? Let me see. Oh, look at how pretty your fingernails are.
Okay, here's just a
Did
plain
Mama do
old
that to you,
razor.
Cheyenne?
Okay, he's just green.
I know. Ninja! He doesn't have his mask on. How come?
Maybe he wants to look ordinary.
Wants to look like an ordinary
Maybe
turtle?
he just got big.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of voice tonight. Where's my voice?
It went away.
It went away, kind of, because Daddy just got
come?
back from Chicago last night late. And
How did it go away?
Daddy had to talk too loud in this horrible seminar that we did. Daddy talked and talked and talked way too loud. He had to yell.
Does this look like Chicago?
That looks exactly like Chicago, Hunter. I
Is
didn't like it.
Chicago here?
I don't know. It might be. It's probably more likely New York, since that's a Ninja Turtle book.
Well, they do. Ninja Turtles do live in New York.
I know they do. All right, listen. Should we read the tale of the Flopsy Bunnies?
Yeah.
You guys stayed with Jason all weekend, didn't you?
This is my book.
It's April 13th, 1992. How come it wasn't fun? You love Jason.
Yeah, but we're very fun around here.
It wasn't, huh? Did you have fun, honey?
Because I didn't like
You like Scott, too?
No, I said I didn't like him.
You didn't like him?
You know why I didn't like him?
Why?
Because he wouldn't play with me.
Oh, sweetie, he probably played with you a lot. He probably just didn't play with you.
No, just played hide and seek and fish.
Well,
And that wasn't
honey, he
fair.
can't play with you all the time.
You know what Jason said? He said, Scott, play with us. Because he never played with us.
And he wanted Scott to play with him? Or you?
I wanted Scott to play with us.
Oh, you wanted Scott to play with you. Wait, yeah, but when Scott comes over, he always plays with you.
No, he played with me. He didn't play with me.
Oh, he did too.
No, he didn't.
He just didn't play a whole lot. Didn't he play with Cheyenne too, Hunter?
Yeah.
Sure he did.
No, he didn't.
Well, didn't he play fish with you?
No, I wasn't playing.
Why didn't she play fish?
She did play fish.
What else did Scott play with you?
I didn't play fish.
Uh-huh.
I didn't.
You didn't?
Yes, I didn't.
Oh, well, Daddy's here now. Daddy will play with you. He's going to read you a book.
Look, Dad, last
The what? Oh, I know. That's a wild, wild book. But what we need to do now is read this nice little sweet book.
Oh, but this looks like it's heavy right
I know, but let's read the sweet little tale of Flopsy Bunnies, okay? And it starts off, and what do we have here?
Bunny.
We have several bunnies, and what are they doing? Looks like they're all lying on their backs, and they're sleeping. How many bunnies do you count there around that plant, sleeping? Okay, you try. You do.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay, that's a lot of bunnies sleeping around a tree, isn't it, huh?
My turn. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Hunter came up with 6. I think maybe we counted one twice, okay, sweetie?
No, just forgot one.
All right, well, I'll bet there's 7 because there's one hiding on the other side of the plant. Don't you think?
Maybe.
Because they seem to be sleeping all the way around it. All right, now here's what the words say. It is said that the effect of eating too much lettuce is sophoric. Now look, they're all gotten sleepy.
Sleeping around.
They all ate too much lettuce. I have never felt sleepy after eating lettuces, but then I'm not a rabbit. They certainly had a very sophoric effect upon the Flopsy Bunnies. Now, when Benjamin Bunny grew up, he married his cousin Flopsy. And they had a large family, and they were very, very happy. Look at them there. There's a daddy, and there's a mommy, and how many babies?
That's the Peter.
Uh-huh. It's Benjamin Bunny in this case, honey. Yeah, now how many babies?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I see another one hiding.
6.
Did you see that one up there, Cheyenne?
Yes.
6, if you count the one that's up above. Looks like he's hiding in the
Okay,
grass.
this one's gonna get a spanking.
I don't think he's going to get a spanking. I think he's just laying on his mama's lap, but maybe. It says, I do not remember the separate names of their children. They were generally called the Flopsy Bunnies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little Flopsy Bunnies. And as there were not always quite enough to eat, Benjamin used to borrow cabbages from Flopsy's brother, Peter Rabbit, who kept a nursery garden. And look, over there is Peter. And sometimes when there's not enough to eat, they will go over to Peter and they will get a cabbage to eat or a lettuce. And sometimes Peter Rabbit had no cabbages to spare. I'm sorry, he said, I have none. Now when this happened, the Flopsy Bunnies went across the field to the rubbish heap in the ditch outside Mr. McGregor's garden. Uh-oh. Here's where Mr. McGregor tosses all of his stuff, I guess, the rubbish. Now Mr. McGregor's rubbish heap was a mixture. There were jam pots and paper bags and mountains of chopped grass from the mowing machine, which always tasted kind of oily when they ate it, and some rotten vegetable marrows and an old boot or two. And then one day, oh joy, there were a quantity of overgrown lettuces which had shot into flower. Oh, look at them. Are they happy? What are they eating?
Lettuce the lettuce.
They're eating lots of lettuce, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes. And so the Flopsy Bunnies simply stuffed lettuces. By degrees, one after another, they were overcome with slumber, and they lay down in the mown grass because they were so full, they ate so much, and they got so sleepy. All they could do was this.
Daddy, wake up! Daddy, wake up. Wake up!
Well, now what did I do? We all went down after we played tennis this afternoon, and Mommy and I played tennis. We practiced with Hunter, and then Cheyenne had to go to the doctor, didn't you, sweetie?
Yeah.
Because you got an ear infection. Then what did we do? We went to Thai food, and we ate lots and lots of Thai food, and now Daddy is very sleepy, just like the bunnies, and he's laying his head down. He's just going.
Hey, Daddy, where's your time? I went upstairs.
Wide awake, wide awake. Okay, now Benjamin was not so much overcome as his children. Before going to sleep, he was sufficiently wide awake to put a paper bag over his head to keep off the flies. Look at that. He put a sack over his head so the flies wouldn't come down and buzz on him. And the little Flopsy Bunny slept delightfully in the warm sun. And from the lawn beyond the garden came the distant clattery sound of the mowing machine. And the blue bottles buzzed around the wall, and the little old mouse picked over the rubbish among the jam pots. I can tell you her name. She was called Thomasina Tittlemouse, a wood mouse with a long tail. And she rustled across the paper bag, and she awakened Benjamin Bunny. The mouse apologized profusely and said she knew Peter Rabbit. And while she and the bunny were talking, close under the wall, they heard the heavy tread above their heads, and suddenly Mr. McGregor emptied out a sack full of lawn mowings right upon the top of the sleeping Flopsy Bunnies. And Benjamin shrank down under his paper bag, and the mouse hid in a jam pot. See, there's the man, and he's pouring the grass down on top of the bunnies. And look at the little mouse dove into the jam pot. Uh-oh. And the little rabbits smiled sweetly in their sleep under the shower of grass. They did not awaken because the lettuces had been so filling. They were so tired. And they dreamt that their mother Flopsy was tucking them into the hay bed. And Mr. McGregor looked down after emptying his sack, and he saw some funny little brown tips of ears sticking up through the lawn mowing, and he stared down at them. See? What is this he's seeing?
Ears.
Ears. The bunny's ears are sticking out. And presently a fly settled on one of them, and it moved, and so Mr. McGregor climbed down onto the rubbish heap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little rabbits, he said, as he dropped them into his sack. and the Flopsy bunnies dreamt that their mother was turning them over in bed, and they stirred a little in their sleep, but they did not wake up. Uh-oh, he's putting the bunnies in a sack. What's he going to do to them?
I don't know.
What do you think he'll do to them,
dinner?
Cheyenne?
I think I cut off their foot.
I hope he wouldn't cut off their foot.
Or eat them for dinner.
Wouldn't that be awful? Do you think he's going to eat them? You think he would eat rabbits? Well, let's see what it says. Give me back my pillow, you boy. Boy. It said, Mr. McGregor tied up the sack, and he left it on the wall, and he went to put away his mowing machine. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Now, while he was gone, Mrs. Flopsy Bunny, who had remained at home, came across the field, and she looked suspiciously at the sack and wondered where everybody was. See, there comes Mama. And look, there's the sack. And then the mouse came out of her jam pot, and Benjamin took the paper bag off his head, and they told the doleful tale. Benjamin and Flopsy were in despair. They could not undo the string. But Mrs. Tittlemouse was a resourceful person, and she nibbled a hole in the bottom corner of the sack. Look at, she went, and as fast as she could, they opened up a hole, and then the little rabbits were pulled out, and Daddy and Mommy pinched them to wake them up. And their parents stuffed the empty sack with 3 rotten vegetable marrows, an old blackberry bush, and 2 decayed turnips. They put that in the hole. And then they all hid under a bush, and they watched for Mr. McGregor. Now, what's really in the sack?
Rotten vegetables on a bush.
Right. That's right. That's all that's in there. Some old junk. And Mr. McGregor came back, and he picked up the sack, and he carried it off. And he carried it hanging down as if it were rather heavy. And the Flopsy bunnies followed at a safe distance because they want to see what Mr. McGregor's going to do. And they watched him go into his house, and then they crept up to the window to listen. And as Mr. McGregor threw down the sack on the stone floor in a way that would have been extremely painful to the Flopsy bunnies if they had happened to be inside it, they could hear him drag his chair on the flags and chuckle. Ha ha! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little rabbits, said Mr. McGregor. What's that? What have they been spoiling now? Inquired Mrs. McGregor. Nah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little fat rabbits, repeated Mr. McGregor, counting on his fingers. 1, 2, 3. Don't you be silly. What do you mean, you silly old man? His wife said. In the sack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, replied Mr. McGregor. The youngest, Flopsy Bunny, got up on the windowsill to look into the house. And Mrs. McGregor took hold of the sack and felt it, and she said she could feel 6, but they must be old rabbits because they were so hard and all different shapes, not fit to eat, but the skins will do fine to line my old cloak. Line your old cloak, shouted Mr. McGregor. I shall sell them and buy myself something. I shall buy some tobacco, rabbit tobacco. I shall skin them and cut off their heads. Oh, no. He's going to skin them and cut off their heads? Oh, no. Now, Mrs. McGregor untied the sack and put her hand inside. And when she felt the vegetables, she became very, very angry, and she said that Mr. McGregor had done it on purpose. You put vegetables in the sack. And Mr. McGregor was very angry, too, and one of the rotten marrows came flying through the kitchen window and hit young Look at, they threw one of the vegetables out, and it hit young Flopsy Bunny. And it was rather hurtful. And then Benjamin and Flopsy thought that it was time to go home as fast as they could because they didn't want Mr. McGregor to catch them and kill them and take their skin. And so Mr. McGregor did not get his tobacco, and Mrs. McGregor did not get her rabbit skins to put inside her coat. But next Christmas, Thomasia Tittlemouse did get a present of enough rabbit wool to make herself a cloak and a hood and a handsome muff and a pair of warm mittens, because they saved all the fur that they combed out, you know, when they combed them, the kids, and they gave it to the mousie who made a coat out of it. And that is the story of the Flopsy Bunnies.
But that's mine.
This is the tale of Tom Kitten, and this book is also by Beatrix Porter, the original and authorized edition. Isn't that pretty? This is a little kitty named Tom Kitten, I'll betcha. Well, let's see, huh? Hunter's being a little wham-bam over here.
We just want to sleep upside down.
Hunter likes to sleep upside down, Shy.
Who made stuff on it?
I don't know. Who did?
What we say? Varen.
Hunter's tapes. It looks to, who did that?
Varen.
Who's Varen?
Jesus kitty.
Oh, no, this is wax. Was there a candle on or something anywhere?
No.
I don't know what that's from. It's wax.
No, it isn't.
All right. It could have happened in here. Mommy or Daddy might have done it because we have candles on. It says, once upon a time, there were 3 little kittens, and their name were Mittens, Tom Kitten, and Moppet. Can you remember that? Mittens, Tom Kitten, and Moppet. And they had dear little fur coats of their own, and they tumbled about on the doorstep, and they played in the dust. And see, there they are. They're playing just like our kitties play. But one day, their mother, Mrs. Tabitha Twitchit, expected friends to tea. There's her mama, see? And the mama is expecting friends to come to tea. So she fetched the kittens indoors. Okay, there we go. And she washed and dressed them before the company arrived. Just like your mama does if she wants you to look pretty, right? Now first she scrubbed their faces. And this kitty right here, is Moppet.
Oh, Moppet.
And then she brushed their fur, and this one is called Mittens. And see, Mama, look at Mommy Kitty, brushing their fur to make it pretty. And then she combed their tails and whiskers, and this is Tom Kitten. Now, Tom was very naughty, and he went, meow, meow, and he scratched his mama. Uh-oh. Now, Mrs. Tabitha dressed Moppet and Mittens and cleaned pinafores and tuckers, and then she took all sorts of elegant, uncomfortable clothes out of the chest of drawers in order to dress up her son, Thomas. See, look at the dressy things that she put on the girl kitties, and now she's saying, Thomas, you're going to wear these pants, and she's going to dress him all up.
I have a pop-up book of this.
You have a pop-up book of this?
Yes,
Is this one of the books that Lisa gave you?
No, it's Grandma gave me.
Oh, well, I want to read it, huh?
And we need another one.
All right, we'll read it
The
later.
pop-up one.
We'll read it later.
It's a little one.
Okay. Now, Tom Kitten was very fat, and he had grown several buttons burst off. And his mother sewed them on again. And look, does he look like he's happy?
No.
I don't think he likes being...
goes...
Yeah, that's right, doesn't he? I don't think he likes being dressed up like that, does he? All right, now, when the 3 kittens were ready, Mrs. Tabitha unwisely turned them out into the garden to be out of the way while she made some hot buttered toast. Now, you keep your frocks clean, children. You must walk on your hind legs and keep away from the dirty ash pit, and keep away from old Sally Hennypenny and from the pigsty and the puddle ducks. Don't you go near them or you'll get dirty. Well, Moppet and the Mittens walked down to the garden path, and they walked kind of unsteadily because they didn't like to walk on their hind feet. And presently they trod upon the pinafores, and they fell on their noses. Oh, poor kitties. And when they stood up, there was...
I have one of these books.
Do ya?
Yeah.
Well, when they stood up, they were...
I had 2 of these there.
Well, there were smears all over them, and they said, well, let us climb up the rockery and sit on the garden wall, said Moppet. And
I can't see.
so they turned their pinafores back to front, and they went up with a skip and a jump, and Moppet's white tucker fell off down onto the road. Uh-oh. She's losing her dress. Well, now Tom Kitten was quite unable to jump while walking upon his hind legs in pants. Look at this. And so he came to the rockery by degrees, breaking the ferns and shredding buttons right and left. And he was all in pieces when he reached the top of the wall, and Moppet and the Mittens tried to put him together, and his hat fell off, and the rest of his buttons burst off. Uh-oh, is he going to get in trouble? And while they were in their difficulties, there was a pit. Pat, a paddle, paddle, pit, pat, boop, bop, boo, deedle, deet, and the 3 puddle ducks came along the high, hard road, marching one behind the other and doing a goose step. Pit, pat, paddle, pat, biddle, waddle, pat, pat, biddle, waddle, doot, dop, pop, pat, pat. And they stopped, and they stood in a row, and they stared up at the kittens. And they had very small eyes, and they looked surprised as they looked up at the kittens, the 3 ducks. And so then the 2 ducks, Rebecca and Jimina Puddle Duck, picked up the hat and the tucker, and they put them on. Look at this. She's got that on her, and he's got the hat on him. Well, Mittens laughed so that she fell off the wall, and Moppet and Tom climbed down after her, and the pinafores and all the rest of Tom's clothes came off on the way down. Come, Mr. Drake Puddle Duck, said Moppet, come and help us to dress him. Come and button up Tom. And so Mrs. Drake Puddle Duck advanced to the slow, sideways manner, and she picked up the various articles of clothing. And now what's she picking up here?
His clothes.
She's picking up Tom's clothes. But he put them on himself, and they fitted him even worse than Tom Kitten. Look, he didn't help put them back on Tom. The duck put them on. Well, it's a very fine morning, said Mr. Drake Puddle Duck, and look at how he looks. What do you think, Cheyenne? What does he look like?
He looks like a spider.
What do you think, Shay?
Looks like silly.
He looks silly to me, too, sweetie. And he and Jemima and Rebecca, the Puddle Duck, set off up the road, keeping step. Pit, pat, paddle, pat, pit, pat, waddle, pat, pit, pat, waddle, pat, pit, pat, paddle, pat, pit, pat, waddle, pat, doot, doodle, doodle, doot, doo. And up the road they went. Then Tabitha Twitchit came down the garden and found her kittens on the wall with no clothes on. Uh-oh, here comes Mama. What's she going to think?
She's gonna spank them.
So she's probably going to get mad. Uh-oh, and she pulled them off the wall, and she smacked them. Back, ouch! And she said, back to the house with you. My friends will arrive in a minute, and you are not fit to be seen. I'm affronted, said Mrs. Tabitha Twitchit, and she spanked them and cuffed them, and off they went. And she sent them upstairs. And I'm sorry to say she told her friends that they were in bed with the measles, which was not true. Why would she tell her friends that they were in bed with the measles?
I don't know.
Well, she said that because she didn't want her friends to see them. Because these kitties were not dressed pretty. Now, quite the contrary. They were not in bed, not the least. And somehow, they were very extraordinary noises overhead, which disturbed the dignity and the response at the tea party, because downstairs, Mama was having a tea party, and upstairs the cats were going, meow, boom, jump, bang, boom, and making all sorts of noise. And I think that someday I shall have to make another larger book to tell you more about Tom Kitten, because Tom Kitten got in a lot of trouble. And as for the Puddle Ducks, they went into a pond, and the clothes all came off directly because there were no buttons. And Mr. Drake Puddle Duck and Jemima and Rebecca have been looking for them ever since, because the clothes sank down to the bottom of the pond. And that is the end of the story
Let the Mickey turtle
of the
away.
tale of Tom Kitten. Well, I'll read a little bit of the Ninja Turtle book. It's a very long book, and we've just about used up our half hour of tape here. So we'll read part of it tonight and part of it tomorrow night. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Book 4. And when we opened it up and we look, it looks like it's wintertime looking down on a city just like Chicago. But what do we see? There, on top of one of the buildings, it looks to me like a Ninja Turtle with his sword.
It's Leonardo.
It's Leonardo. Leo, is that you? One of the Ninja Turtles shouts out the window. And this says, what goes around comes around. An eastward laird beset, Dooney Lawson Brown Lavagan production. So, this is the story beginning. Look at, who is this guy? He's a ninja type of guy, but he's not a turtle. He has come out of somewhere and he's wanting to do battle with Leonardo. Now, inside the building, surprise, Mikey, it's us. Check out this tree, April, and I got Mike. Isn't it a beauty? Yeah, it's great, Ralph, but have you guys seen Leo? And look at, here they are. They're coming up the apartment stairway, and they're bringing a Christmas tree. And obviously, Leo is on the roof. And look, he's having a wild, slashing, battering fight. He ducks. Whoever this ninja guy is, he cut off part of his, the tail of his headband there. And now it's really made Leo mad. No, I thought we were helping you preclude Christmas Eve dinner. And there's April coming on in. I think he said something about going on an exercise run. Oh, great. So I get to chop all the vegetables. Now, which one of the guys is this over here?
He doesn't have his mask.
Yeah, they're not wearing their masks because they're inside at their own house. Okay, now look. Uh-oh. Leonardo has gotten both of the bad guys, hasn't he? There's just one left, it looks like to me. And so what does he do? He throws out his knives. They whistle by. He comes leaping, running, crashing. He grabs the guy, but his guy's got a chain who grabs Leonardo's foot. Uh-oh. And look at, he came crash. It looks like he's hitting Leonardo really hard. Now, inside the apartment, gee, I'd like to help you, Mike, but I've got this tree to trim. Come on, Mikey, maybe I can chop something. And Mikey doesn't want to have to chop all the vegetables. But now up on the roof, what's happening? Here's Leo. He's fighting with this guy. And they're just really a major, major fight. Ah, you're back, April. Did you find a proper tree, and who is it?
Master Splinter.
It's Master Splinter, that's right. Hi, Splinter. Yes, we got a great one. Cheap, too. You know, wherever Leo's up to, you can be sure of one thing. And what is Leo up to? Here he is. He's up on the roof, and he's fighting some more. Fight, fight, fight. The guy jumped down. So look at, he goes, boom. He jumps off the roof, and now he's going to start following his footprints in the snow through the alleyway. And inside the apartment, here's one of the Ninja Turtles chopping up carrots, and he says, well, once Leo gets an idea in his head, he's going to follow it through to the bitter end. But look, here he comes. Here's Leonardo. He's going down the alley, and all of a sudden,
I can't see.
look at this. Boom! Who comes out? See, it's a picture of him going down the alleyway. He's chasing the bad guy. But what happens? How many bad guys are waiting for him down there?
100.
1, 2, 3 that I can count. Now back in the apartment, here's Master Splinter. I have faith that Leonardo can take care of himself. Yes, he's probably doing some last-minute Christmas shopping, says April. Maybe he's bringing home a surprise. But what is really happening to Leonardo?
She's fighting.
He is really fighting them. It's just boom, ah, and back up here in the apartment. Hey, Ralph, what's with the butterfly swords? Now to trim the tree my way, he's saying. But now look at Leonardo fight. And here comes these ninja guys jumping at him, and he is going. Uh-oh, we're running out of tape here pretty soon. We're just about going to have to stop this side. And so, pow, pow, pow! Leo is fighting the guys, one after another. And look at this. What did he do? He trimmed the tree like a barber, didn't he? He went and he chopped off all the leaves that didn't match. But now, here's Leonardo fighting the bad guys. Wow, 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 wow. And he's beating them. How to help me now? He says, here comes April in now, back in the apartment. And she's got balls, and she wants to decorate the Christmas tree and put up the lights, the Christmas lights. But what's happening here? Here's a big fight still going on in the alley. Look at Leonardo kicks him in the head, doesn't he?
The head. Look at you doing.
The head, you're right, the head, see?
Look at April's doing.
And April is decorating the Christmas tree now back in the apartment. And poor Leonardo, he's having to fight all these bad guys. They throw things at him and he bounces them off the sword. But back in the apartment, I really do enjoy this, you know, even more than getting presents. Me too. This is only our second real Christmas. And now, poor Leonardo is still in the office, or still in the alley, and the tape is just about over for tonight. So this is where we're going to start reading it tomorrow night.
Well, how are you
I'm going
gonna
to turn down the